And after speculation that Donald Trump would moderate his stance on climate change, Democrats are slamming his choice to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. Donald Trump's pick is Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt. He's a climate change denier. This move only adding more confusion on where Donald Trump stands on the issue. So let's show you what we're talking about here. In 2012, Trump put out this tweet. It said the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. Then he said this to the Washington Post editorial board in January. Perhaps there's a minor effect, but I'm not a big believer in man-made climate change. And now this on man-made climate change from Donald Trump's recent meeting at the New York Times. He said, I think there is some connectivity. There is something. It depends on how much. Let's discuss with environmental lawyer David Bookbinder. David, thanks for being with us. And just to let our viewers know, you have met Scott Pruitt. You personally like Scott Pruitt, but you're certainly worried about him heading up the EPA. Why?
I'm very worried about Scott Pruitt heading up EPA for a variety of reasons, starting with the climate issue. Scott Pruitt does not seem to accept what almost all of the world's scientists and all the world governments do, which is that climate change is happening, it's caused by human beings, and it has very, very bad effects. So that's the start of the problem.
Okay, so when you look at the biggest risk here, what is the single biggest climate change measure that you think could go away under a Trump administration with Pruitt at the helm?
Well, the current administration has promulgated some protections on climate. The Clean Power Plan, which is designed to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from the nation's power plants. And without a doubt, the Clean Power Plan will now be it's dead. The EPA will repeal the Clean Power Plan, and there will be no federal program to reduce carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gas emissions.
You heard me there, David, talking about Donald Trump's record, and I think for some people they'd be surprised to know that Trump and his three eldest children signed what was an open letter to President Obama and Congress in 2009, and it said it urged them to take action to, quote, control climate change, an immediate challenge facing the United States and the world today. And then now you have this appointment of someone who questions climate change, period, let alone man-made climate change. Why do you think there is this shift in what we've heard from Donald Trump over the years?
I don't think I or indeed anyone else can explain the radical shifts in Donald Trump's thinking from year to year, month to month, hour to hour. What we can do is simply say he's appointed someone to run EPA who does not believe in climate change, and that is extremely dangerous. But the danger goes further. Scott Pruitt has fought basic protections for clean air, repeatedly suing EPA when EPA tries to protect clean air for people in cities across the country. Scott Pruitt has fought those tooth and nail, and that is extremely dangerous.
We saw the president-elect just this week on Monday. He met with former Vice President Al Gore, big advocate, one of the biggest advocates on climate change. What do you make of that meeting, considering this nomination that we're seeing?
I think it was pure window dressing. I think Donald Trump had no intention of acting in a positive way on climate. I think his nomination of Scott Pruitt establishes that.
You are the former chief counsel for Sierra Club, but it's really interesting. You run a consulting firm with the former chief of climate for Exxon. You work with a libertarian think tank that is in favor of a carbon tax. So to your staunchly Republican friends and colleagues who say that environmental regulations make it very difficult for businesses, they put a drag on the economy, what do you say to them?
They're usually overestimating and wildly inflating those costs. How do we deal with climate change is the big issue. And once you accept the basic science, then the question becomes, what is the most efficient or effective mechanism for dealing with it? The problem with this incoming administration is that they simply don't believe there's a problem in the first place.
All right, David Bookbinder, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. He's a fellow with the Niskanen Center and a co-founder of Elemental 6 Consulting.